Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Gamestack Podcast right here on We Just Love Games Network. You're listening to episode 129, Stadia, We Hardly Knew Ye. I am your co-host, Vendertron. Joining me this evening is also Shalene. Hello, Shalene.
Hi.
How are you, my
Hello.
dear?
Exhausted. I'm
I know, right?
exhausted.
That's the vibe tonight
Yeah,
on the show. We should
I
have
say
actually
this
just...
every week, but it's been a week.
We should have named the episode Exhausted. Maybe. That might have been a better
Oh
choice.
my goodness gracious.
How has
I'm
your week been?
tired.
Let's just hop right into the first
Okay.
segment of the Tonight Show, which is it's been a week.
Well, I was going to an eye doctor appointment because I'm out of contact lenses. Turns out those are important to seeing the world.
Quite right.
Yes, and I had to cancel that because my car had $5,000 worth of problems underneath it. Yeah.
Oh, that's not
Um,
a fun time.
super not a fun time. I still don't have the car back. I'm driving a loaner. It's very cute. I'm considering buying it. But we'll see how it goes. It's been a lot of stress. Um, dealing with this auto repair situation,
Mm-hmm.
loads of stress, very expensive. And of course, my job is very stressful. So um, it's been a week.
So
And
what are you gonna like? What needs to be done?
well, they told me that my tires were so bald that the cords were showing.
Oh dear Lord.
And I told them, no, that can't be because these tires are only like 3 months old. I just bought them.
Well, did you take a look
And
at them yourself?
so, yes, and they were indeed. Yes. So it turns out
Interesting.
my tires were sitting at like a 70-degree angle instead of upright the way they're supposed to
Oh, they
be.
weren't balanced.
So they were wearing on the sides, and the alignment was bad. But it turns out so were a bunch of the struts and stuff. And they had to replace a bunch of, like, I forget what they're called. I'm not a car person, so
Right.
please forgive my ignorance, but like ball bearing things that attach the tire.
Bushings?
Bushings, that's what they said. Like all of those need to be replaced,
Good
and a bunch
heavens.
of arms, and it was a lot. And every day they would call me and be like, "Hey, Miss Lopez, how are you doing?" And be like, "Well, that depends on what you're going to tell me."
Right.
And so usually the news was, "Hey, those repairs, we need more parts and more labor. It's going to cost you more money." And so
I'm sorry,
I
Shalene. That sucks.
uh, uh, I want to cry.
So what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna
So
like
I'm going to start a GoFundMe.
are you gonna just like buy a new car?
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about buying a new car. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Hmm.
It's a complex decision. These things always are. So,
Yeah, I mean like $5,000 versus $25,000
mhm.
or
Because
twenty thousand
it's been
dollars.
really nice not having a car payment, but when these things start going wrong, they don't usually stop. So, I really do rely on the car. I live in the middle of nowhere. I need
Yeah,
the car.
yeah. Well, and the
So,
other thing is, do you really want to take a loan if you're
mm,
going to be applying for a mortgage in the future?
mm.
You know,
That's a whole different issue, but we can talk about that after the show.
obviously, yes.
Yeah.
I've had a pretty interesting week. Actually, no, actually my week was not interesting at all. Now that I think about it, it was not interesting. It was just a week. Yeah. Um
Well, your weeks are always interesting because you're interesting.
well, I did find out that a my one of my presentation applications was accepted for the International Diabetes and Epidemiology Group Conference
That's
in
wonderful
Portugal.
news. You're going to Portugal?
No, I am not, because they will not pay for my travel and accommodations, which I was banking on. And they
Boo.
changed that decision, that you could apply for travel aid after I had applied for travel aid. So I will not be going to
Lame.
Portugal. My boss will be presenting my research in my stead. So
That's still pretty cool, though.
yeah. But I am off to Copenhagen in a couple weeks here. I think it's like less than 2 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
I will be in Denmark, and Shalene will be running this ship herself.
Yeah, there are no plans.
Not sure what
There's
the
no
plan is,
plan.
but I hear the guests are lining up to fill this seat. So yeah.
Yes. I hope that's the case because I haven't called them. So it would be really convenient if they called me instead.
Yeah. Anyways, we should actually move on with the show tonight. We do have a lot of things to talk about before we hop into that. The show is sponsored by Oak and Crow Coffee. If you head on over to oakandcrow.com, you can pick up a bag of We Just Love Coffee blend. $2 from every purchase of that coffee blend goes to the Children's Miracle Network. And also, if you haven't seen my incredibly ridiculously vibrantly orange t-shirt, there is a reason that I am wearing that. Today is National Truth and Reconciliation Day here in Canada. And if you're unfamiliar with that, it is a time of recognition, reflection, and remembrance of the atrocities that have happened throughout Canada's history regarding Indigenous people and residential school survivors and the victims of that terrible time in our history. And I do, just for today, want to acknowledge that every child matters to me. And I've been thinking a lot about, my role in truth and reconciliation. And I do want to acknowledge that actually, from where I am broadcasting this show, I'm situated on Treaty 6 territory, which is a traditional gathering place for many diverse Indigenous peoples, including Cree, Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota Sioux, Iroquois, Dene, Ojibwe, and many others whose history and language continue to influence and make our community a better place. But just wanted to acknowledge that.
I think it's a really good thing that Canada has set aside a day to honor that, and I think the United States should do that too.
Yeah, there is significant traumas, and there's intergenerational traumas that have sort of been passed down because of the role that the Catholic Church and our government, federal government, and provincial governments have played in the atrocities on Indigenous people. So important to never forget that part of history and
Absolutely.
continually work to try to change and learn and observe and respect that process as well. If you are listening to the show, host us. Tell your friends about the show, and bring people on over into the live chat Friday, the best little corner of the internet every week, as we like to say. And if you're listening to the show after the fact, thank you for your continued support. We love you. How can people get more involved in the show offline?
Well, a great way to do that would be to join our Discord server. You can do that by clicking the Discord link here on our Twitch page, twitch.tv/WeJustLoveGames. That link is live whether or not the channel is, so you can access that 24 hours a day. Alternately, shoot us a message on social media and we will send you the link. Discord is a place where we interact with listeners and listeners interact with each other on all sorts of topics, ranging from the video games that we're playing to plants, our gardens, and the music we're listening to, the books we're reading, and more. So it's a lovely way to join that conversation and meet some like-minded people.
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. We do have a lot to get through tonight. We've got some news. It is time for new releases, so I will take you through that list. We're also going to go through the stocks. We have a game science segment, and then we're going to cap things off really nicely with what the community has been playing, and then what each of us have been playing. So let's hop right into it. This just in. As always, a shout out to Joseph Tao for helping us compile the news, as he so diligently does almost every single show. And Shalene, do you want me to take the October releases, or do you want to run through this list?
You go right ahead, sir.
Okay. So starting off October 3rd on the Switch, we have Guardian Tales. On October 4th, we have Dakar Desert Rally on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, and PC. On the 4th, we also have Overwatch 2, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, and PC. And we also have 1428, Shadows over Celestia on PSC.
Sure.
On October 5th, we have The Plague Doctor of Whipra coming out on PC, whatever that is. That looks interesting.
That is an adventure game. Looks like pixel art. I am checking the trailer out now. Looks like a point-and-click adventure. Pixel art, and my internet's not good enough to give me the rest of this trailer.
Also on October 5th, we have Deathverse Let It Die coming out on PC. October 6th on Switch, we have Nier Automata, as well as Europa, both on Switch. And then also on the 6th, we have Josh Journey, Darkness Totems, coming out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC. On October 7th, we have No Man's Sky coming out on Switch. That's kind of cool. Asterigos, Curse of the Stars comes out on the 11th on PS4, PS5, and PC. In Sound Mind on the Switch, also on the 11th. And No More Heroes 3 on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC. And then on the 12th, we have Lego Brick Tales on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. And on the 13th, we have Fueled Up, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC. And then also on the 13th, there's a bunch of other games coming out. The Eternal Cylinder, as well as The Last Orikuru, both on PS4, Xbox Series X and S. And then The Last Orikuru also is coming out on PC. Triangle Strategy coming out on PC as well. And WRC Generations on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC. On the 14th, we also have Dragon Ball, The Breakers. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC, and NHL 23 as well on all of those except on PC and Switch. Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3, Slime Speedway, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC. And then also we have PGA Tour 2K23, that's hard to say, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC, and Scorn, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC, all on October 14th. So busy day for that. A Plague Tale Requiem, thank you, on PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC comes out on October 18th. I imagine this is probably something you're looking forward to.
Plague Tale?
Yeah.
I haven't finished the first one.
Oh.
I mean, it looks incredible. Haven't finished the first one yet.
Fair enough. On the 18th, we also have Ghostbusters, Spirits Unleashed, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PC, Thems Fightin' Herds.
Okay, so I did a Google, and that is a fighting game in which you play as very, very cute animals, like cows and llamas and ponies. And the art style is kind of like My Little Pony.
Really?
So,
Cute.
Mm-hmm.
That comes out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and Switch on the 18th. And then, starting on the 19th, we have Uncharted, Legacy of the Thieves Collection, PC. Batora, Lost Haven on the 20th, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, and PC. Mario and Rabbids Spark of Hope coming out on the Switch on the 20th. Norco, also on the 20th, coming out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S. Second Extinction on Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Then on the 20th, Gotham Knights on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. New Tales from the Borderlands, October 21st, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC.
I am really surprised that that's already coming out. I feel like they just announced that. The first Tales from the Borderlands, I just absolutely adored it. I loved that game. So I'll definitely check out this.
Yeah. Where was I?
Here.
Saturnalia, PS4.
Did you skip Persona 5?
Persona 5 Royal, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, and PC on October 21st. And then on the 27th, Saturnalia, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, and PC on the 27th. Signalis, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on October 27th, as well as Star Ocean: The Divine Force, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC. Bayonetta 3 comes out on the Switch on October 28th, as does Call of Duty: Modern Warfare 2.
Haven't they already released Modern Warfare 2 twice?
I'm not sure.
There was Modern Warfare 2, and then there was like a remake of Modern Warfare 2. So what is this?
I don't know.
How many? I'm confused.
But isn't there like 9 releases of Skyrim?
Yes.
Anyways, that comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC on October 28th. Also on October 28th, 3 Resident Evil games. Resident Evil RE: Verse. PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Resident Evil Village on Switch, and Resident Evil Village: Winter's Expansion. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S. I assume no longer Stadia, and PC on October 28th. Taz in the chat says a remake of the remake.
So, according to Google, this is not a remake of the 2009 title of the same name. It is a sequel to the 2019 game. That's so confusing. I wish they would have just stuck with the numbering system. It was a mistake when they had like Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, and then they had Modern Warfare 2. Like, I feel like that's when it all went wrong.
Yeah.
The numbering system. They should have just gone with like 5, 6, 7, 8. Let us be playing Call of Duty 34. That would make more sense to me.
It's like I always joke that I'm in grade 16 because I'm like almost. Anyways, we also have some free games for the month of October through the PlayStation Plus monthly games for October. You can get these games you can pick up between Tuesday, October 4th until Monday, October 31st. And the PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium game catalog lineup for October will also be announced this month, but this is what you can pick up for free. The Hot Wheels Unleashed on PS4 and PS5. You can also get Injustice 2 on PS4 and Super Hot on PS4 as well. And those are the 3 that are coming out for PlayStation Plus. New games with gold for October. Let me just navigate to our link here. So you can pick up on the Xbox One, Series X and S, You can explore a mysterious paradise in Windbound and take to the skies in Bomber Crew Deluxe. So Windbound retails for $19.99. ERP. What is ERP, Shalene? Euros? Euro
have
pound?
no idea.
Um,
I don't know what an ERP is.
That's
I'm
available
sorry.
October 1st to the 31st, and then Bomber Crew Deluxe Edition is available from the 16th to November 15th. That's odd, but okay.
Yeah. Joseph Tao comments, he has a little commentary here. Only 2 games? Did I miss something where they switched it to 2 from 4? Is this related to them saying they were running out of free games to give away? And yes, this is related to them running out of free games to give away. They are no longer giving out Xbox 360 titles. So they would give 2 modern like Xbox One titles and 2 Xbox 360 era titles, but they've cut the 360 games. So those have all been free at one point.
Interesting. Why don't they just recycle and go back
They
through?
did for a while. I know several of them have popped up more than once. But
Well, if you are an Amazon Prime gamer, there are a few really great games you can pick up for the month of October. This lineup is a little bit more extensive than what we've seen from Xbox. You will be able to pick up a free copy of Fallout 76. You can also get Total War: Warhammer 2, Middle-earth: Shadow of War.
Oh,
Glass.
I'm interested in that.
Glass Masquerade: Origins, Loom, Heroes Hour, and Horus. And
I want to find out what Horus is. That seems like a strange name because it's Horus, like Horus Slughorn, for you Harry Potter fans, not Horus like the Egyptian god. Okay, let's Google this. Horus, the game. The best platformer of 2019. Horus is a huge platforming adventure which pushes the boundaries of the genre with a profound story of a small robot learning of life, the universe, and Douglas Adams.
Interesting.
This is really cute pixel art. I'm for it. I think I should play this game.
Well, you can also pick that up if you'd like. Those are the monthly releases for Amazon Prime. October. That's it for the monthly releases. That was quite a list.
Indeed, it really was.
I'm going to hand the mic over to you and drink some water now.
Okay, sounds great. Well, I think I might play Horus, but you know what I won't be playing? Skull and Bones.
What happened?
It got delayed again.
Oh my God. We were just talking about this last week.
Yes. Again. Skull and Bones is never going to come out is the opinion that I have grown to espouse. According to this IGN article by Rebecca Valentine, Skull and Bones has been delayed for the 5th time. In a press release, Ubisoft has given the updated release date of March 9th, 2023, which would be just before the end of the fiscal year. And the publisher stated that while game development is finished at this stage, the extra 4 months will be used to further polish and balance the experience, following technical tests and insider program feedback from closed betas.
Interesting.
And of course, this game was first revealed in 2017. And the first delay was announced in 2018 when it was pushed to 2019 to 2020. Then it was delayed again in 2020 and then again in 2021. We'll see. We'll see if this game ever comes out. I have lost all hope at this point. This game has been in development hell, and I'm not hopeful that it will ever leave.
Well, and the problem is that I don't actually even care anymore that it comes out. And that's a bad thing.
It is. This is a game that you were very excited about for a while.
Well, I was excited until I saw that they totally changed the premise of the game altogether. From what I had originally became interested in.
Right.
But this is a whole different thing. Like when you keep delaying and delaying and delaying and delaying, people lose interest. And then
Mhm.
when it's finally released, they don't buy it out of spite because they're so mad that it's been delayed so many times. Right? And
Absolutely.
so I don't know. I worry about Skull and Bones. I think that this game's gonna flop out of the gate when it
It certainly
releases.
may.
Yeah.
It certainly may.
Ay, ay, ay.
You know what else flopped? Google Stadia.
Oh, we called that. Rick
We
called that.
did.
Rick called that.
Yes.
Long
It's too
time
bad he's
ago.
not here to gloat.
I know.
Um, According to this VG247 article by Stephanie Nunnally, um, Google says that Stadia was built on a strong technology foundation, but it didn't gain the traction with users that was expected. Therefore, they will begin winding down the streaming service. Everyone who made a purchase will be refunded all of their hardware purchases made through the Google Store. This includes the Stadia controller, the Stadia Founders Edition, the Stadia Premier Edition, or Play and Watch with Google TV. And the refund will also apply to game and add-on content purchases made through the Stadia Store. Google expects to have the majority of refunds completed by mid-January, and Stadia Pro subscription payments will not be eligible for a refund, but active subscribers will continue to have access to their library without charge during the shutdown period. And all players will have access to their games library and can continue to play through January 18th, 2023. That way, they have a chance to complete their play sessions and move any progress that they've made to other platforms where it is possible. But as of today, the ability to buy games, new subscriptions, add-ons, or in-game purchases on the Stadia has been disabled. And another thing that I would like to note is that while it is a very good and consumer-friendly move that they are refunding people who made this purchase, who invested in this system, they did not handle this as well as it could have been. I have seen numerous reports of developers who were planning games for Stadia who were not informed, who found out on Twitter
Oh,
like the rest of us.
no.
Yes, people who had a game releasing the next day. And
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
I am dead
Oh,
serious.
there's going to be lawsuits.
And yes, there should be. It's terrible. Terrible. So that definitely could have been handled better. They are being
That's
consumer friendly,
just
but they
poor
are not
planning.
being friendly to the devs.
Yeah.
I mean, these people invested potentially years of their lives into developing software for the platform, and it feels incredibly disrespectful that they had to find out like that. That's horrible. Remember when Google's motto was like, "Don't be evil." I think they left that behind a long time ago.
Yeah, somewhere along the way
Yeah.
it got lost.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think you
Stop
don't
being
even
evil.
care.
I'm sorry. It was just there. I had to press it. uh,
That's such perfect
yeah.
soundbite.
Devs are just like, you don't even care.
Yeah. So that was pretty tacky. I didn't really expect the Stadia to be a gangbusters platform, but it is a shame to see
Yeah, it's
this
weird.
happen. More competition is always better in the industry, in
Right?
any industry.
Mm-hmm.
But there we are.
Interesting. Okay. Have you got any other news that's maybe like less depressing?
Yes, I have happy news.
Okay. Let's move into our happy and other news.
E3 is coming back. Yay!
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm absolutely going. E3 2023 has been announced officially. It will have a revamped format. It will be run by ReedPop. instead of the ESA.
Okay.
So Reed Pop, they run Comic-Con and all kinds of I think what's that other one called? I just blanked. It's probably here in the article if I could just cruise through this. Well, they run some cons that are not hated the way that E3 has been. So hopefully they'll do a better job than the ESA. And this will be the first in-person E3 in 4 years. It will run from Tuesday, June 13th through Friday, June 16th. It will be happening at the Los Angeles Convention Center. And under the new format, the first 2 days, June 13th and 14th, will be reserved exclusively for media and businesses. And the third day, June 15th, will be a combined day, and June 16th will be dedicated to the gamer at large.
Interesting.
So I like that a lot. I think it's great that there is time for focus on media.
That is actually really cool.
It was a little difficult the year that they had lots of public there.
Well, when you start mixing ranks like that, it gets really difficult for media to actually do their job.
Just to even if you have an appointment somewhere, so you're not waiting in lines, just getting through the crowds to get to your appointment was made a lot more difficult by just the sheer volume of people. So I really like that we're going to have some media days. And they are going to have some quiet, more comfortable booths and areas to network in the convention center. They also hope to reopen Kensha Hall, a basement area that has not been used for some years for business purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And the other half of the convention center will be the spectacular E3 that you're used to, according to the quote. Vendor, you're such a jerk. So in our private Zoom chat here, Vendor has stated less risk of falling up the stairs. Yes, I did fall up the stairs at the Cyberpunk 2077 demo. Up the stairs. I fell up the stairs. It was brilliant. I then planned to retire from games media forever and never show my face again. Hopefully after 4 years they've forgotten and CD Projekt Red will let me in. But yeah, this I'm very excited.
So you're going?
That of course I'm going. Yes, of course I'm gonna go. I hope that Reed Pop does a great job, and I hope that it brings the event back to where it should be. I hope they don't dox all the journalists. That'd be great. And I'm absolutely planning to go. So
I do hope that they have. So what were the subgroup categories for the venues? There was media. Then
media and business. And then there was consumers, and media had a day, and then the final day was just for consumers.
So what I don't want them to throw into the mix is like media influencers with media, or like
it's the
streamers.
Same thing.
Streamers.
I mean, they will be included on media day. Absolutely. I don't think we would count as traditional media.
No, you're right, but
more on the influencer side.
I just like I'm thinking back to the Dr. Disrespect issues that were at E3.
Yes.
And like I don't want a remake of that.
Yeah, it would be awesome if Dr. Disrespect could not film minors in the bathroom. That'd
also, please don't let Delphine sell her bathwater at a booth. Belle Delphine.
Yes, Belle Delphine. I saw a meme the other day where it was the scene where Galadriel gives the flask to Frodo, except it was Belle Delphine. $30, please. I love it.
That's hilarious. Well, that sounds really interesting. Yeah, $250 ticket. That's just to get into the venue.
That's just to get in.
And that's a consumer ticket. That's not a media ticket. So media ticket's going to likely be more.
The media ticket is free.
Oh, is it? Okay. And then, but you have to pay for different appointments. And is that how it works?
No, you don't pay. They want you to cover their game. They want you to talk about it with your listeners. Right. So
conferences are so different in the gaming world. In my realm, in research, it's not unusual for conference registration to be $700, $800, $900. And then you pay additional fees for individual sessions if you want to go to them. It's quite ridiculous, but yeah. That's exciting. Well, I look forward to you, doing some live coverage from the lobby floor.
I'm absolutely thrilled.
That will be fun. Wait. Yeah.
I hope everything works out and I'm able to go.
Yeah. I hope that you can grab the, Bethesda won't be there next year. Will they?
Why do you say that?
Or Microsoft? Well, it'll be Microsoft.
I mean, they've always been there before.
But will they have their own standalone thing?
They previously they've combined. Last year, I mean, they in the pseudo E3 that we had over the summer, they combined the Microsoft event and the Bethesda event into one event.
Right.
In the past, physical E3s, they did have those as separate events. I would assume they would combine them again.
Okay.
The Xbox event is a lot bigger than the Bethesda event was.
Yeah.
There were a lot more people there. And the Bethesda event had an open bar. So the vibe was definitely different. There were a lot of people that were really excited. So...
Well, to June 13 to June 16, E3.
Usually those events like the Xbox press conference, the Bethesda press conference, those usually happen in the days ahead of E3. So
maybe I should try to go this time. Maybe we could get like an Airbnb with a fancy pool and like nice yard with like lemons so we can make lemon martinis.
Sounds great. You should absolutely come.
We'll have to talk about that.
Indeed.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So Pokemon has announced a new Pokemon. And at first everybody thought it was a Diglett. But it turns out Diglett.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
But it turns out this Pokemon is called a Wiglet. And it lives in the Paldea region, and it is known as a garden eel Pokemon. It is a water type and features the abilities Gooey and Rattled, and boasts an exceptional sense of smell. This Pokemon can pick up scents from over 60 feet away. It is skittish and cautious, and when it notices the scent of other Pokemon, it burrows into the sand to conceal itself. And this is a real gross looking Pokemon. I'm just going to come right out and say it. This little guy, he's disgusting. He's absolutely just horrifying.
Let me see if I can pull it up for the people.
He looks obscene. He's a very gross little Pokemon.
So yesterday,
and that's the only reason we're talking about it.
Let me see here. This is what he looks like. Boop. Wait, no, that's
that's a Diglett.
That's Diglett. That's Wiglet.
Yes.
He's like one of those clams in the sand that just. When you said Wiglet, I was picturing Diglett with like a beautiful wig on.
That would have been much better. Look at how gross he is. He looks so gross.
Is it because he's white?
Maybe I'm just being a Pokemon racist. I don't know, but he's very gross, and definitely look up pictures of Wiglet. My favorite thing was I saw a meme where he was on the cover of God Emperor of Dune, which I'm currently reading, and for anybody who's read that book.
Yeah, you posted that in the lobby earlier this week.
Absolutely hilarious. So funny. And with that, that's the news. Oh, I do have one more comment. Joseph Tao says, first, this is not very creative. And two, for some reason, it just creeps me out. That reason, Joseph, is that it's yeah, you know why. You know why it creeps you out.
Yeah.
It creeps us out too.
Shalene, would you do me the honors of also doing the stock segment?
You betcha.
All right, let's roll right into that. Oh no, I double hit the button. Oops.
That is the GameStock bumper on.
Tapped it twice.
That's double tap. We'll double tap there. So the stock market is terrible this time. It's just terrible. These numbers are in US dollars, and the plus minus spread is since our last show last week. And it's all a minus spread this time. Sony closed at 64.05. That's down $4.38 since last week. Microsoft at 232.90, down $5.07. Nintendo is at $50.97. That's down $1.63. Take-Two closed at $109. That's down $1.36. Activision is sitting at $74.34, down 61 cents. Ubisoft is at $5.42. What happened to Ubisoft? Is that a typo?
It could be.
Well, Ubisoft is down. EA $115.71.
That may be a typo.
Down 7 cents. And Tencent is down $1.05 at 33.82. Everything is dire, I tell you.
Interesting. Okay, well that's GameStock. Yeah, things are not good. Although it is a very good time to think about investing in Bitcoin if that's something that you wanted to enter. There, people who invested in Bitcoin years ago before it was big, said that it was a really good time to invest then, and then also right now. Yeah. But we do have also a game science segment this time, and this article is carefully selected by the one and only Shalene.
I thought it was very interesting.
Ta-da! Today's game science article is brought to you by the European Geosciences Union, written by Valentina Rossi and Thomas Clements and team over at the School of Biological, Earth and Environmental Sciences, University College Cork, Ireland. And they talk about how video games are now really comprised of being the largest sector of the media entertainment industry. Hundreds of video games that span a huge variety of genres and platforms use extinct animals and or paleontological themes as a basis for their gameplay. The premise of the article itself is looking at the perception of paleontology in commercial off-the-shelf video games and the assessment of their potential as educational tools. And so, they're one of their sort of rationales for this research is that because of many players, especially children, spend long periods of time engaging with and being immersed in paleontological concepts and themes, video games may be the first medium of implicit and tangential science communication that they engage with around paleontology as an area of science. And so the paper that they are writing and that we're introducing here talks about a lot of the major topics or types of paleontological video games and discusses their educational potential. And they sort of go into some of the most common tropes, both positive and negative, observed in video games to better equip science communicators regarding the perception of paleontology specifically. And so basically what they did was they wanted to look at two major things. The first was to familiarize science communicators with the types of paleontological COTS, they're called, video games. COTS stands for, here we go with acronyms, COT stands for commercial off-the-shelf games. Apologies. And then the second thing is to identify and discuss the common tropes and misconceptions that often arise where scientific accuracy is comprised for the entertainment value. And so really what the paper's focus is trying to raise awareness of science communicators regarding the perception of paleontology that the video game playing public are exposed to, and especially those who are introduced to the subject via these games. And so basically, it's really interesting article because they talk about different areas of video games that are paleontologically relevant, like ancient animals as adversaries. And, this category is by far one of the most common types of paleontological video games. 65% of paleo game titles on Steam is comprised of different ancient animals. Many video games use ancient animals, typically dinosaurs and pterosaurs, as adversaries that must be defeated, or the player to proceed to continue within the game. Examples include things like The Legend of Zelda, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, Trespasser, Dino Crisis, Tomb Raider, Peter Jackson's King Kong, and I would also like to add in there Ark Survival Evolved.
Of course. How could they miss Ark?
I know, right? Actually, I would argue that Ark is the reason why I know dinosaurs now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another type of paleo video game within this category is the wave shooter. And this is where the player sort of fights off waves of hostile enemies with the suite of exotic weapons in order to progress. And examples of these types of games include Dino Stalker, Dino D-Day, Dinosaur Hunt, Carnivore's Dinosaur Hunter, Wrath of the Goliaths, Dinosaurs Hunt, Primal Reptiles, Prehistoric Hunt, Second Extinction, and other various saga games. So that's one category they looked at. They also looked at ancient animals as tools. So, and this was sort of a category where they used ancient animals as something that would help the player progress through the game. And it's one of the more famous and recognizable things, like Yoshi, for example, is a really sort of prominent fictional character that takes on a paleontological sort of viewpoint. And other games such as Far Cry Primal, Ark Survival Evolved, Total Warhammer 1 and 2, World of Warcraft, Battle of Azeroth, and Nanosaur, Dino D-Day, other games like that, featuring animals as tools in the context of paleontology. These examples are really sort of looking at how they're used to help the players. Pokemon, another really great example.
Yeah.
Then they covered, they've got quite a few categories here, so I'm going to kind of gloss over the rest of them. I won't go into too much detail. But the next category they looked at was fossils as collectibles.
Like Animal Crossing.
Exactly. And they have a figure in the article that shows all of the different examples of fossil collectibles in video games. They have the generic fossil, the prehistoric skull, the trilobite, the notulus fossils, etc. Very cool. Some of them are more realistic. Others are very sort of 8-bit type, which is really cute. And then also ancient animal management simulators. This was another section of which Ark Survival Evolved absolutely applies. They also looked at ancient animal simulators. These are more survival sim games. So things like Dino Run, Project Bolin, etc. And then one of the major sections they looked at was common paleontological video game tropes. And this was where, they considered a trope to being a reoccurring theme or motif that occurs across video games. And so one of the tropes they discovered or sort of looked at was ancient death machines. So the monsterification of ancient animals in video games as enemies for players to combat. And this is, interesting because monsterification is not really a novel concept, but it's not really something that's unknown to science communicators. And, for science communicators, there are some important aspects of monsterification that are not normally considered. So, the fact that it's not restricted to carnivorous animals in video games, Orion Prelude and Dinosaur Hunt as an example, but also that it's not limited to dinosaurs. So, for example, Ark Survival Evolved applies some degree of monsterification to almost every animal in the game. So the Diplococcus, the Paraceratherium, these are much larger than their fossil remains indicate in real life. And these giant fish, like the itchy Leadsichthys, we call them the itchy fish because it's too hard to say the.
Yes.
And this kind of fish is coated with jagged spikes and scutes and is depicted as highly aggressive, despite fossil evidence suggesting that they were filter feeding organisms. So monsterification in video games is another really interesting concept. They also looked at fossils equals dinosaur equals T-Rex, lack of paleodiversity in video games as a trope. So, the classic, representation of the T-Rex in a video game as being the all-seeing,
right.
Sort of, they also looked at the did you know trope. So in-game encyclopedias can actually be really informative, and the use of paleontological facts within different elements of video games. An example of this is Animal Crossing New Horizons, where blathers, they're like a strigiform owl museum creator. They will talk to the player with lighthearted but informative trivia about each fossil presented at the museum, which is an educational sort of opportunity. The depiction of paleontological science as broadly within video games as well. So things like geological processes. I think a really great example of this is Red Dead Redemption 2. An enormous effort has been undertaken by the video game developers to accurately capture the surface geology, flora, and fauna, and the variable ecosystems in an open world environment. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one that the authors of this article use as an example that allow players to learn about the world around them, and I think that's one of my favorite things about Red Dead Redemption 2.
That's really interesting.
Is that, you can pick every weed, you can pick every flower, and there's an index that shows you what they're used for. Some of them are medicinal, others are used for poisons and things like that. One game you might not expect to be on this list would be American Truck Simulator.
That is a surprise to me, yes.
This allows players, of course, to take a virtual road trip across a hyper-realistic landscape in the United States, including many famous North American fossil localities, such as the Dinosaur National Monument in Colorado, which I visited in ATS. It's very cool. As well as other large geological valleys like the Grand Canyon and things like that. Monuments and stuff. Subnautica, a really good example of that as well. And then they also talk about depicting evolution and cloning and resurrecting extinct animals. So within the concept of the trope of evolution, they talk about a misuse of the term evolution within games, where morphological traits are sort of acquired, and that in games like Spore, where players must guide the evolution of their own custom creatures from microscopic organisms to an interstellar empire by acquiring new traits, can sort of distort the real life sort of educational opportunity of evolutions of those animals.
Right.
I would say, though, that Ark actually does a pretty good job of this. In terms of evolution and things like that. There are certain traits that certain dinosaurs will perform better with. So like I would never want to put like melee attack into a bird, or like a pteranodon, because
Right.
that's just not what they're built for, right? They're built for maneuverability and speed and ability to get away. And so if you put everything into melee, it's not necessarily that's going to be the best choice. And then of course with cloning, the trope of DNA extraction from fossilized material is very prevalent in media and video games. I think we can sort of thank Jurassic Park for that. And but you know, they're not able to. Well, in some games, it depends, but there's it's very nuanced in video games regarding the depiction of the growing field of sort of DNA and proteomics and things like that. And so this is something that they sort of remarked on that isn't really all that relevant or apparent in the games that they've looked at. There is so many categories that they looked at. But I will sort of just conclude, this was a really interesting article to read. Thank you for sharing it, Shalene.
Of course. I was really looking forward to hearing about it.
Yeah, and so they sort of conclude by saying paleontological themed video games are very popular. And because of this, increasing the numbers of public who are exposed to ancient animals and paleontological science sort of eclipse engagement efforts undertaken by scientists and allied paleontology workers, which is really interesting. Many consumers of video games that purchase games that contain elements of good science communication have actually sort of demonstrated their knowledge of paleontology from these games. And they also go on to say, with most types of media, paleontological video games can contain a suite of negative, potential damaging tropes, but many of these tropes are really sort of widespread issues with mainstream media as well, but also in the gaming industry. So, for example, poor representation, monsterification, like I had said, hypersexualization, and, this... They go on to say that this sort of specifically detracts from the use, from a game's use as a educational tool for science communication. And they make the argument that science communicators should really undertake careful examination of COTS video games before using them as educational tools, because it could actually be quite misleading. And so that was sort of the article. That was really cool to sort of go through. And I imagine the people who wrote the paper had some really interesting, fun sort of building I wonder what the peer review, what the reviewer comments were like. Here's some comments. I want to read these. The paper is clearly written and well structured. I recommend acceptance pending minor revisions. Authors should consider discussing the Siberia series, a graphic adventure video game that features Pleistocene fauna and female protagonists. Study has been already conducted on Red Dead Redemption 2, highlighting how virtual ecology of this game can be a useful educational tool. We should look for that paper and include it in the next game segment.
Yeah. Have an update.
Yeah. Interesting.
That was really fun.
Yeah, that's game science. The next thing that we want to talk about is...
You've got mail.
Dun, 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 dun. Mail stack.
Yes, we have mail. Today's entry comes from RTZ13, who says, "What's the favorite game you played many years ago that you feel like nobody else played?" I'll go first. LucasArts Outlaws. That's his Discord profile pic. For some reason, these games feel much more personal to you, and even you glorify its nostalgia. So what is a game that you played many years ago that you feel like nobody else really played?
Indiana Jones on PlayStation 2.
Okay.
I loved that game. It was so good.
What did you love about it? Tell me about Indiana Jones on PlayStation 2.
It was Far Cry, but Indiana Jones edition. And like, who doesn't love Indiana Jones? Come on, right? And it had it was very carefully done to closely and accurately depict Indiana Jones as a character, but also the nuances of Harrison Ford's acting. So like, yeah, snakes. I hate snakes. I remember that from that. But I honestly, now that I think about it, I don't know anybody else who's played that game.
I'd never heard of it before.
Is there anybody listening to the show who's played Indiana Jones on PlayStation 2 back in the day? What about you, Shalene? What's your game?
I'm gonna go with Home Alone on the Game Boy.
Wow.
There was Home Alone and Home Alone 2 on the Game Boy. And I loved those games. I loved them. They were so fun. They were just it was really fun. The first one, you had to go through like 7 floors of Kevin's house. And there were rats and stuff, and eventually you had to fight Harry and Marv. It was great.
Did you have to swing like a can of paint?
Yes, the cans of paint, and you had to avoid them. You had to not be hit by them yourself.
Nice. And this was on original Game Boy?
Yes. You had to avoid all of the traps and pitfalls yourself, or they would kill you. I think I actually have those carts right here, in fact, because that's who I am. So give me just 1 second for our video folks. I know I have them here. Okay, here's Home Alone 2.
Wow.
And Home Alone.
Can you hold it closer to the camera? Oh, yeah. It's like the classic like VHS cover.
Mm-hmm. Home Alone and Home Alone 2.
Brilliant.
So, I adored these games. They were so good. I want to play them right now.
You know, I think I still have my PS2 in a box somewhere. I should pull it out, plug it into the TV. I know that I'm probably gonna have to get a PS5 just to play GTA 6. Like, it's probably gonna happen.
It's a really good piece of equipment so far. Yeah, really enjoying it. But I would like to hear the listeners' games. I would like to hear what game they played that they feel like no one else has. So definitely send those in, drop them in our Discord, or write into info@wejustlovegames.com. We had a couple of responses here in the Mailstack channel. Deadly Joker said SOCOM 2 on PS2. That's the first game that really got me into online gaming. And Fire and Gasoline said, I'm going way back. For me, it was Mario Paint on the SNES. I was always into drawing, and I thought it was awesome. And they had cool mini games.
That's great.
So, yeah, that's the mail stack for this week.
Ooh, all right. Let's hop into what the community's playing. So this first image comes to us from RTSaid13. And it is some pictures of his holiday in Turkey.
I was going to say the graphics are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, this is Beach Simulator 2019. Yeah, no, this first image is just a nice picture of the beach, and looks like there's some geese there on the beach. Are those maybe pecking ducks?
I think it's ducks.
Yeah, it might be ducks. And it's just a picture of the dock, and there's umbrellas. It looks very hot, like the sun is shining, and it's sort of setting, and it looks really nice. There's a couple people in the water swimming. Looks very refreshing. Then they also have this picture, which is presumably a picture of the ocean from their hotel room view, which they have an amazing view. They've got a
So pretty.
a complete view of the ocean, multiple other resorts down the beach, as well as there's like paragliding, and the pools are there. The pool looks really nice. Yeah, looks like paradise. Thanks for sharing those, RTZ13. He says in the Discord also, no screenshots now. I'm on holiday. This next one comes from Taz. He says, girls' night out with Piper away from all the fighting, riding in the Highwaymen at Diamond City. And,
fun. This must be a mod. So this is Fallout 4. And of course, we've got his player character here with Piper, and they've got a really cool car.
Yeah,
Is it a drivable car?
I don't know. Is
it a
mod?
It's got to be a mod. I've played a lot of Fallout 4 and never seen this car. So.
Yeah, same. Diamond City.
Mm-hmm.
He also shares this one, second image of the girls' night out. It says Mary Grace and Piper grabbing one last drink for the night before returning to Sanctuary Hills. And there's like a picture of them sitting on this like patio, and there's a Mr. Gutsy.
Isn't his name Wellington? I think his name is Wellington.
Might be Wellington, yeah. And there's a box of sugar bombs and some Nuka-Colas on the table.
Love it.
It's cute. That's all we have for screenshots and stories this week. How can people send in their screenshots and stories?
Well, if you'll recall earlier, I gave some instructions on how to join our Discord. So that's step 1. And step 2 is to visit the channel called Screenshots and Stories. And yeah, drop your screenshots and stories right there, and we will share them on the show. We actually caught up. I'm shocked.
I know. First time ever. Which
you guys
means
better
like
get busy.
Yeah. Post some more screenshots and stories. We love to hear what you're playing.
This is one of my favorite segments of the show.
Taz says that the car is a fast travel mod.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Yes, and he confirms that the robot is named Wellington.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it.
Anyways.
What have you?
Let's talk about what we're playing.
What have you been playing, Bender?
Well, the new update 6 for Satisfactory has just come out this past week. So Jess and I were super excited to hop back into our factory. I think I talked about this on the last episode of Gamestack, and I was telling you how our oil refinery is now entirely engulfed in the Spire Coast flora and geological formations. And what else has happened? We built a parking garage complete with parking lines, and like it's like underground. It's so cute. And we put a bunch of cars down there because we're always losing cars out in the world. So, and then you have to spawn back at the base and grab a new car, and it's all frustrating. I've started building a train network. I want to be that 60-year-old man playing with his mini trains in Satisfactory. That's going to be a big undertaking. I'm trying to figure out how to place tracks down strategically so that it can gather resources as it travels around the map automatically and then brings them back to the base. I'm not entirely sure how to do that. I have to figure that out still. But the new updates are really nice. They actually pushed a patch a couple of days ago, and it really broke the game. It changed the hitbox on the storage containers, the doors, anything that you could interact with. So it changed the hitbox so that the hitbox was like double the size or larger. Right. So when you would go into a storage container, you would actually be opening the door, which is across the room, because it was capturing the door instead of the storage container, and super frustrating. So we posted in the Discord, like, is anybody else having this problem? And then it was like 5 minutes after that, everybody was like, yeah, I can't access, blah, 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 it's broken, blah, blah. And then the next day there was a new patch and they had fixed it. So obviously a very significant issue or bug that came up as a result of that. Jonathan is doing good. He has won Employee of the Month again. So
I'm so proud of
rigged.
Jonathan.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what he does all day. Every time I see him, he's out for his lunch hour walk. It's like the guy never works. So nice to see that he quit smoking, though. Yeah.
We're so proud.
Yeah, we got some new Boombox cassette tapes, which are pretty great. They have changed it so that the lizard doggo no longer takes Boombox boost damage or base damage, so that's cute.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
Lizard doggos are important. They're adorable. We also been playing a lot of DRG. As you know, it is the Oktoberfest month, the best worst sausage beer, which I talked to you about before.
Such a clever pun. The best worst.
My character has received a promotion.
Ooh.
Yes. And so we actually played a little bit of Deep Rock last night, I think. I think it was last night. I can't remember. So fun. So fun to play that game. You should totally play it with us. It's so much fun. Or we should just play it together, you and I. Or I think Archim would like it too.
Mm-hmm. It seems like something he would like.
Yeah, because it's very completionist. Like, yes, extremely so. Maybe we shouldn't introduce him to that game. And then I have also gotten a little bit into Among Trees. I finally have my kitchen built and my crafting room built. I have learned how to smash beehives out of trees without dying, and I've learned how to fish. So, but that's my gameplay. What have you been up to?
Well, of course, Fallout 76 is a constant. So recently, Archon and I did a very slow run through of the pit. We left the team private so that there wouldn't be other players pressuring us to go fast, through this, because we wanted to just poke through the environments and find any notes, lore, terminals to read, environmental storytelling, all that good stuff. And so that's what we did. We just took our time and really combed through it. And there was a lot of lore to be found, and it was very bleak. So
really?
Yes, that's not a huge surprise. The pit was a pretty bleak location in Fallout 3 when it was introduced. And it's no surprise that things are not great there now. But I do want to comment on the fact that I feel a little bit unfulfilled with the pit.
Well, you were saying this last time.
Yeah, I feel like they built more of the area than we're ever going to get to see, and that's a shame.
Okay.
And it feels somehow a little empty because it's not a place where I can find a side quest or it's just the expedition, which is basically a long daily op.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's bad, because it's not bad.
Okay.
But I do feel like it's just not as lovingly crafted as what I expect from Bethesda. And there was, during the test server, there was a readable Grognak comic on a table. It was open, and you could read the panels of this Grognak comic. And they removed that from the final build of the game. And I'm so sad about it.
I wonder if it broke things.
I don't know. Maybe it did. Maybe having that open comic book just absolutely tanked performance or something. But I thought it was the most wonderful little bit of environment. And it deepened the world of Fallout by having some available panels of Grognak the Barbarian to read. I loved that. And I was so disappointed that they took it out. So the pit is good, not great, is my final opinion.
Okay.
It's worth checking out if you haven't played for a while. This would be a good time to come back and do a few run-throughs, check it out. But I hope, I really want Bethesda to not abandon expeditions. I don't want them to abandon this area of the pit. Let's expand it. Let's see more of it. Let's get the ability to come here and just walk around and not be on an expedition. And let's do expeditions to other places. They say they're going to do that. I don't believe them, because the history that we have with Fallout 76 is that they start a project and they don't finish it. And I shouldn't criticize that, because I'm the queen of not finishing projects I start. But
especially video games.
absolutely. But I mean, they never brought us the next segment of the Pioneer Scouts quest line.
Right.
They never brought us another daily op. Like it's just, they tend to start things and then wander away from them and do a new thing.
Yeah.
And I hope they don't do that in this instance. I'd like to see them continue to iterate. The daily challenges, the homework, added a new challenge that I'd never seen before, and it was to eat 10 cans of dog food.
Oh.
And guess who sold all her dog food the previous day? I was so annoyed. I had like 40 cans of dog food in my pocket. I'm like, I'm never going to eat this dog food. It's gross. So I sold it. And the next day that I played, 10 cans of dog
Murphy's
food.
Law.
So Archon and I were combing through all of the back alleys looking for cans of dog food.
Oh my gosh.
This challenge. It was so stupid.
Like strays just digging through garbage.
They did add another little thing that I really liked. In the White Spring, I was just walking through the area that's now populated with responders.
Okay.
And these two guys were like shouting at each other. So I go over to talk to these two guys. I didn't remember them being there before. I'm like, hey, what's your problem? And they tell me that they're having a friendly argument over preferred weapon types. Do you like firearms,
and
or
you're
do
like,
you like melee weapons?
Have you seen my death tambo?
Exactly. So it was a really fun little conversation, and I understand they've added about a dozen little scenarios like that can
Cute.
pop up in the White Spring.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and I just thought that was so fun. It felt very
random.
Yes, and it felt very natural. It felt very that's what happens in life. You're walking through the lobby and you bump into a couple of guys having an argument, you know,
right.
and
yeah,
I liked that very much. That's something they did very right. So good job, Bethesda.
Nice.
Do more of that. And of course, I told you at the beginning of the show about the woes of my car repairs.
Yes.
And I did plan to go to the dealership to get my oil changed, right? So I was planning to go there. And that's what was happening when they found all the problems. But since I knew I'd be there for a couple of hours while they did my oil change, I went ahead and took my Game Boy Advance with me. I threw it in my purse, and I played some Oracle of Seasons, some Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. I mentioned a few shows back that I bought some knockoff GBA carts on Etsy, and they work really well. And I'd never played Oracle of Seasons. I never had a Game Boy Color. I skipped straight from the OG. The only reason I have this Advance is because my OG finally died, and it wouldn't work anymore. So I bought this to play my OG carts on.
Okay.
And so this was my first experience with Oracle of Seasons. And let me tell you what, these cutscenes would have blown my mind if I could have played this back in the day. They're so good. I would have just been absolutely so impressed. I am much older now, though, and the Game Boy is much harder on my eyes than I remember it being. I'm an old lady now.
Well, you know, the Game Boy has that click-on attachment that's a magnifier.
I need one.
You hit the little switch on the top, and it turns on a little light.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna need like a bifocal or something. I don't know. But Oracle of Seasons does hold up so far. It is fun to play. Exploration is fun and rewarding. The characters are zany and interesting. And I made it through the first cave and did some puzzles and got the
Nice.
sword. And I am ready to go talk to the Maku tree. So let's do this.
Oh.
That's my gameplay.
Sounds like you had a nice week.
It was horrible. It was a nightmare. These were a couple of bright spots in my absolutely disastrous week.
Yeah. I've got a fruit fly that has decided to be the unofficial.
Same.
Fourth
Is it the
host.
same one? Is it going from my area
camera to
yours?
camera?
Yes,
Maybe.
because I think you guys have seen me just swatting the air for the entire show.
I usually think that those are just gestures.
Yes, it was.
It was such a happy time.
Snap, snap.
Yeah. Any plugs or announcements on your end before we close out?
Got nothing.
Okay. Well, don't forget next week, another fresh, crispy new episode of Gamestack Podcast. This will be our 130th episode, which is very exciting. Our show that you are listening to right now is sponsored by Oak and Crow Coffee. If you head on over to oakandcrow.com, you can pick up a bag of We Just Love Coffee blend, and $2 from every purchase goes to the Children's Miracle Network. We love to hear from our listeners. If you would like to send us an email, you can email us at info@wejustlovegames.com. If opening your email browser is a little bit too cumbersome and you're already in our Discord, aka Chat After Dark, you can just pop over to the Mailstack channel and post your question and your comment in there, and we will talk about it on the show. And don't forget, we're also on social media, Twitter at We Just Love Games, Shalene at Shalene L, myself at Vendertron N. Also on Facebook, facebook.com/We Just Love Games, facebook.com/group/We Just Love Games. We're also on Discord if you're listening live for the first time. You scroll right down below Shalene there. The link for the Discord is available. And if you are listening after the fact and you want to get involved in our Discord, like Bit Trash Riot, who has made a triumphant return as a prodigal son, you can head on over to our Twitch page, twitch.tv/We Just Love Games. The link is there that will bring you right into the Discord. We live record the show at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time every Friday right here on twitch.tv/We Just Love Games. We're also on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Please do like, subscribe, and review the show, and we will shout you out. Thank you all for listening. Shalene, have you got a last word?
Na, 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 na.